Hello, Africa, and welcome to Africa Beyond Borders. I'm your host, Soraya Mentor, and on this show, we get to chat to amazing Africans who've traveled beyond their home countries. It is all about culture and celebrating it everywhere we go. Today's guest with me is Alexanderie Basson, calling in from South Africa. Hello, Alex.
Hi, Ray. How are you?
I'm doing lovely. I'm so excited to chat with you because I'm obsessed with your traveling content. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you? Doing great. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, thank you for joining us. Well, technically, right now, I would love to just get to know you a little bit, where you grew up in Namibia and what was that like?
I grew up in, well, most of my childhood and life was spent in Windhoek. It was amazing. I stayed with my mom, and she was a bit strict, yes. But we moved around a little bit, but for the most part, we was in Windhoek, and it was just a great childhood. And we also stayed close to my grand, so we could always go visit my grandmother as well. But all in all, really fun childhood and schooling, yeah, but also quite strict.
I mean, strict mom, I do understand that. You did say you go visit your grandmother. Where was this?
My grandmother stayed used to stay in Kadatura in Damara location,
Ah,
and all the cousins stayed there.
I'm so curious to just find out what your ethnicity is as a Namibian.
I'm Nama.
Full on, I love it.
Yeah. Yes.
I was having a conversation with a friend. I was just saying it's so hard to find, rather for me, to find someone who's like fully a culture because people are so mixed nowadays. So I'm so like in awe when I meet someone and they're like, I'm 100%. I'm like, yes.
There is definitely a bit of a mixture. You know what I mean? There's like along the line, but for the most part,
Yes. I absolutely love that. I want to tap into your journey to South Africa where you chose to study. I know you are a lawyer, and I just love, gosh, I'm talking to a lawyer. I want to find out firstly where your passion from law came and how old were you when you moved to SA?
I wish it was like a passion thing. It was just sort of I knew at a very young age there were some things that I didn't want to do, and there were some things that I wanted to do. And I also, in high school they make you do these aptitude tests, and I figured that I'd be good at being a lawyer because you have to read a lot, you have to understand a lot. I was good in English, and with a lot of reading and critical thinking, I thought, okay, fine, that might be the best direction for me because I don't think I was mathematically inclined. And so
Um,
I left. Yeah, so when I first came to SA to study, I was like 18, and then I went back home and I worked for a while in Windhoek, and then I joined the company that I am working for now, and I moved with that company to South Africa.
oh, that's so cool. You got to move with an entire company and also moving to another country at 18. I want to talk to the 18-year-old version you right now. What was that like? Like the first, if you can remember, the first 72 hours of getting into this new place and we're in South Africa.
It was we moved. I studied in Stellenbosch, so that was my first time actually going to South Africa, and it was
Wow.
so crazy. It was just like I was like 18 and so determined with all of my documents, and when I first got there, I was because at least I wanted to study in a small town because I actually didn't want the distraction of a city. Do you know what I mean? And so I was happy to go study in a small town. So when I got there, nothing felt particularly foreign because everything looked like Namibia. I don't know how to explain it to you. So the road signs, nothing looked particularly foreign in that, you drive on a different side of the road. Or, the new thing for me was the number plates because their number plates were white. And so that was the only thing that was different. But for the most part, everything felt particularly familiar because there was a Pick and Pay, there was ShopRite, there was all of the shops that, we grew up with were there as well. I think it was just the society was slightly more liberal is the only thing that I noticed. And obviously now I have to fend for myself. And it's crazy that I did that at 18 because actually I was a child.
I think you deserve a medal for moving 18, you know. I love how you said everything didn't feel so different, which is actually like a, I don't know, to me, it sounds like it wasn't as overwhelming, but you did mention people were more liberal there. I'd like to tap into that and just find out what you mean more about that.
I think what I realized is people had found a way to sort of be themselves. Nobody was particularly caged in a particular group. So even with the way with piercings, with hairstyles and tattoos, and sort of just different forms of self-expression, which I wasn't used to growing up,
Mm.
is what I found, what I observed there. So that's what I mean. It's also just like people already had their own voices at such a young age, which I found admirable because I think I only really became of age when I went to study, and so I also sort of found myself during that time. That was really cool for me, is that the ability to express yourself, the ability to have like a nose piercing, or like, or a piercing on your eye, like your eyebrow, which with how I grew up and the people I'd seen around me was completely taboo.
I absolutely loved how you mentioned how liberating so Stellenbosch rather was for you, and coming from a strict mom with a strict household. I absolutely loved how you said the coming of age was just beautifully said. I want to find out now, as an 18-year-old, how was that paperwork going to South Africa? Because if I was 18 currently, what advice would you give me just moving to Stellenbosch entirely by myself?
Well, I think get accepted into the university, let's start there, and make sure you have the funding for it. I think in terms of paperwork, I think the high commissions are very clear about the documents that you're required to show, and so you just need to make sure that you apply for the visa well in advance so that you're not stopped from it doesn't delay you to actually get there on time for school or anything like that. That's the only tip I'd give, and to make sure that you have all your documents in order. So things like some universities are better than most. My university was really good with the admin, so you get your letters quite easily. And once you have your letter and the documents you need, like your passport, um, and make sure your passport is valid for a long period, right? Because these days the passports issued by Namibia are at least for 10 years, so that it doesn't expire anytime soon, and then you can apply for, you have all your medical aid documents in place, your parents' details, and they'll give you a list of documents, and then you just wait for a certain period of time. So I think the issue is just making sure you get your application in on time, so that it doesn't delay your ability to register or even get into the country.
You know, ultimately, it sounds like to me, have your paperwork on plan and do it on time for you to be settled into an entirely new country. I absolutely love that. Before we tap into your international tour or travels rather, I want to find out, what was it like when you finished in the essay and you moved back home? What was that culture experience like for you?
I think it was an adjustment. Obviously, it was an adjustment for me because I'd hoped to work in South Africa rather. So I think it was then first dealing with the reality that I had to move back home, and then also the other thing was is also just sort of finding a job, getting yourself employed. And I think I was only unemployed technically for about 3 months, and it was a very hard period for me because I think I don't know about other human beings, but I think every human being needs something they need to wake up and wash for. Just something that gets you up, like it's something that gets you up and gets you going for the day. And eventually, once I got a job and I started working, I think then it also helped me find myself, who I am as a professional, what I wanted to do with my career, and just sort of the reputation I wanted to have as a professional. So I think there was most of it. My return was just focused on um, building my career and laying that foundation, making sure I get all of the necessary training.
I love how you said that, like building your foundation. I want to tap into, just before we go on a break, how was it like when your company was like, oh, so we're moving back to South Africa? Did you take it as a positive thing for yourself?
Yes, I did. I mean, it's growth. It's great. It's something that I really want to do. And obviously, I didn't want my career to reach a ceiling. So obviously, if it's a bigger market, it's going to expose me to more, and I learn something new every day. And it really, like I said, is a great shift for my career, just to broaden my experience, broaden the teams that I interact with. So I think for me, that part has been really eye opening, and I'm really enjoying the experience. And so I grabbed, I grabbed the opportunity with both hands.
Grab it and run with it. I'm going to highlight that as my motivation for this week. Just before we continue, I know you loved Greece and Capri, and that is exactly what we're going to chat about right after this break. Viewers, we'll be right back. Hello, Namibia, and welcome back to Africa Beyond Borders. Still with me is Alex Basson, here to share her adventures now to Greece and Capri. Firstly, I don't even know what country to tap into, but I would love to find out about Greece. Because firstly, when did you go there and what was that like?
So I went there in 2023 with a friend of mine. So there's lots of companies that do these sorts of group travels. And so we booked a group travel, she and I, but we did most of the stuff alone. And so what happens with the group travel is that you sort of pay, and you can pay off the package within a certain time. And then sort of it comes with flights, accommodation, like ground transport, and also like some activities. So we did that in June 2023. And it was my first time back in Europe since I finished my studies, right? Because I went to Europe for varsity and for summer school, but never sort of for leisurely travel. And so we went to Greece. It was just amazing. It's like, I don't know how to explain to you. The moment we got there, the moment we got to Mykonos, like there was just an energy about it, and it was
Wow.
nice and warm, and everybody was sort of in a joyful spirit, and it was just amazing, and the people were really friendly. Mykonos was quite pricey, but it was really friendly, and everybody just seemed like at ease. I don't know how to explain it, and it just felt like easy, and it was just a great time.
Oh my gosh. Firstly, I love the fact that you were welcomed in with such a positive and warm energy, and even warm in terms of temperature. And traveling with a travel group, I would like to tap more into just traveling with a travel group. How does that process work? Because you did mention a bit about it, but I'm curious because if I want to travel by myself now with this group, what would you advise me to do?
So there's actually a Namibian group that I've also done some travels with. They're called Resilient Travels, and she's amazing. So what happens is, obviously, if you don't already have a partner, so if you're not doing it with a friend, because most of the travel groups are per person sharing. So if you don't have a friend, you're likely going to have to share a room with a complete stranger, right? And so I think that just requires you to sort of be a bit accommodating, and also and considerate. Because I think, but for the most part, the only thing that should be the way you'd be the most intimate is obviously if you once you share the room and living in the same room. So I think that can be a bit daunting for somebody who is traveling for the first time, or just generally takes a bit of time to warm up to people. Or some travel packages allow you to pay extra, and then you can have your own room. You can also do that. But in any event, I think it's interesting. You meet a variety of people and different personalities, but it's fun because you guys are doing this experience together. And then equally, just because you're in that travel group doesn't mean that you can't sort of do your own thing, right? You can do some of the activities together, but some travel, the way that the trip is arranged allows you to have 2 or 3 free days, and then you can decide on you can do something that you really want to do. Like when we went to Greece, for instance, when we were in Athens, um, we went to a cooking class, and that wasn't organized by the group. We researched it ourselves, and we went to a cooking class ourselves. There were some things that were said, but you had a lot of free days to do whatever you wanted to do, and you could eat wherever you wanted to eat. It's just that we all stayed in the same hotel and had the same sort of ground transport and skeleton of an itinerary.
Oh, that's absolute. That makes me feel so comfortable. Like, okay, I know now. I got advice from Alex. I'm a professional traveler now by my mind. I want to just. I love how you said the cooking class that you took. I want to tap into just what was your favorite highlighted moments when you were in Greece.
It was so many things. It was visiting the Acropolis in Athens. It was just the food was really amazing. And the food was really amazing. And also the cooking class, it was just so great because we could try like traditional Greek recipes. And it was also a fun group because a lot of us were like tourists. And so we got to meet other people. It was just fun connecting with other people. Um, during the cooking, and that we went to like a market, and we walked through and sort of we did like a tour of the market and shopped for some of the ingredients, and it was just, and funny enough, I had always thought that for Greece, like sort of Greek people eat a lot of fish, but they actually quite eat a lot of meat too.
Wow.
And so that was, yeah, that was insightful. And we did a market too, and then we actually cooked. And it was nice because we could actually do the cooking. So she sort of divided everything up in a way that some of us cooked the gyros, which is like this sort of thing wrapped in grapevines, with the rice in between. It's delicious. And we made everyone had a different type of food that they had to make, and then we sat together and we ate it. It was delicious. It was so much fun, and yeah, and they also served us wine, and there was music playing. It was really fun.
You know, you just took me into a food world and I love it. Do you have a favorite Greek meal that you can do by yourself?
I mean, love tzatziki, so I keep doing that. Love because I love dips. And then I think I haven't tried my own gyros yet, but there is like a huge Greek, not huge rather, but there seems to be a Greek community in Johannesburg, because sometimes you can find like stores that have specific Greek delicacies, and there are quite a few Greek restaurants. And then the other thing that I'm really good at now is like a dip that is made from like roasted red peppers, sun-dried tomatoes, and feta, and it's just so great. Which is also, I think it's Greek inspired, yes. And then I also like to cook feta. That's amazing.
Oh, you know, the fact that you said that they also eat a lot of meat there makes me want to go to Greece. I want to tap into Capri because what? What was that like and how did you get there? Was it also again with a traveling group?
No, no. So this was I went to Italy. It was like a part of it was a solo trip, so that was last year. And then I met up with a friend in Sorrento, and we did a day trip to Capri. And it was so much fun that we missed the boat back and spent the entire day in Capri and took the last ferry out back to Sorrento. So you take a ferry from Sorrento into the island of Capri, and it's just, I don't, again, the moment I got there, it was just so amazing. Everything was just so beautiful, and like just everybody again was like completely free. And so that was really, well, for me specifically, as always, again, another eye-opening experience. And the weather was great. Everything was amazing. It was just, and everyone was so friendly, and it was just completely fun. And yeah, and also the food. And we went to like a really nice restaurant, and the food was just so amazing. And
Oh.
they, and the prosecco, everything. Again, it's just something that needs to be experienced. I can't explain it.
What I found really beautiful was just before our chat, when before we recorded, you mentioned how traveling is a luxury and how one should not compare countries to one another. I just want to see now, how was your experience compared to Greece and compared to Capri, compared to Finland? What did you learn in all of these different countries and cultures?
Because by that I just meant, like, when you go to a place, you need to take it for what it is. It's you need to take it for what it is. It's unfair to expect it to meet the whatever standard experience elsewhere, except for food. Like, you can benchmark if a country has better food or not, but like not every country needs to be experienced for its own merits. And so, while, let's say for instance, the Finnish may be a bit cold, and the Italians are a bit friendlier, but even within, Finland, for instance, there's things that you can experience, and there's things that you can enjoy for what it is, and not try and um, have a negative view just because it's not like what you've experienced before. I hope I'm making sense. I think it just what it's just taught me generally, just traveling, is just that it just opens your mind to different sort of cultures, food possibilities, and just like and the ability to just figure things out, because a lot of times, like if I think of Italy, you're in a foreign country, you can't speak the language, and somehow you have to get yourself from A to B, and sort of and usually you have to do it in a self-reliant manner, because I was solo traveling, and you get yourself from A to B, and you also sort of realize how, like, that you actually can survive anything. You know what I mean? You can figure out the train, you can figure out the route, and you can do it. It sounds crazy, but but for you to travel so far and just do it on your own. Mind you, I got help. Like my first experience in Rome was I had to get a train to like Puglia, which is a different region in Italy, and I had a conversation with the granny who was helping me. She spoke Italian, I spoke English, but somehow we understood each other, and I got onto the right train, and it was just like it's insane. And it's just generally what it also taught me is that people are universally quite friendly.
I love how, and I agree with you when you say sometimes you don't need to understand the language, you just need to understand the person, what expressions they say. I think that's absolutely cool of you and superwoman like, to travel by yourself. I aspire to be a solo traveler as well. Actually, right now, as a solo traveler, what advice would you give me if I was to go alone one day to Italy?
Um, what would I say? Definitely, I think it's solo travel friendly. That much I can tell you. And there'll be other solo travelers you will see,
Wow.
and that's yeah, other solo travelers, and also just for a lot of do your research way in advance, and also just pick places that you can go to that are easy to get to. Because I think with a lot of the places that you can go to in Italy specifically, some of them may require you to rent a car, and I mean I don't want you to drive in Italy because I think that just is insane, and it's also on the right hand side of the road. But I do think that it's solo travel friendly, and for the most part, don't stay out too late, right? You also have to be you still need to be vigilant, right? Even though because you're still alone in a different country. So I mean, for the most part, don't talk to strangers or go anywhere with strangers or somewhere where you don't feel comfortable. But I think plan your route out in such a way that it's easily accessible with the public transport available. That's the first thing. And I think it's just remain vigilant, because they could be there's in most countries, it's just because it's Europe doesn't mean it's like 100% safe. That's the other thing. And the third thing I say is just enjoy yourself and enjoy your own company. Like you'd be amazed how much fun you have by yourself. And how you discover yourself, and equally like you can go that you now discover that you can go have dinner alone and still have a great time. And the nice thing is, the staff, the people at the restaurants, like the staff are just so sweet and so accommodating, and nobody really bothers you or makes you feel bad for being alone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I absolutely love all of the. I need to carry a notebook and a pen to write all of this down because this is solid advice, and I absolutely love and appreciate every single advice you've given me. And I'll definitely take into account don't talk to strangers because I can talk to anyone. Alex, thank you so much for your time and joining us here in Africa Beyond Borders.
Thank you so much. I mean, talk to strangers, but what I'm saying is just be careful. Don't wander off to somewhere with somebody you don't know.
No, I'll tell myself that. I'll tell myself that. And maybe take the ferry on time. That's also an advice I'll take.
And don't drink too much prosecco.
Don't drink too much Prosecco. Well, you guys heard it from Alex Basson. Don't drink too much Prosecco, but also enjoy traveling. And remember, traveling is a luxury. Enjoy yourself. Oh, I absolutely love this. To us from Africa Beyond Borders and all our viewers, we'd love to say goodbye to you, but also see you guys next week, Monday, as we travel yet to another African country, celebrating more Africans as they travel around the world. See you next week on DSTV channel 285, GoTV channel 25, and you can stream every episode on oneup2.com.